Welcome to Planning Phase Syndicate, episode 57. All remaining systems will bow to the First Order. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will be broadcasting a little bit differently tonight. And as a reminder, if you are here and want to check out our after show, we are going to be talking full spoilers for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Unfortunately, Crabrock could not be here for that. So we'll have to catch up with him a little bit later. But I cannot wait to go over the last little bit of Obi-Wan Kenobi. With that being said, this episode is brought to you by Triple Mash, a new bourbon from Jack Daniels that I happened to pick up this week and thought that I would try out for the show. Tonight, we're going to be joined by Crispy, or Christopher Kirkpatrick, and he's going to be talking about his run on the GSP Galactic Championship, as well as the start of what they are working towards in the XTC group. I believe it begins this week, but that's essentially what we will be talking about tonight. With that being said, we're also going to be reviewing a little bit about the Galactic Championship, just because, or Galactic Conquest, that came out from Fly Better, in case you want to participate as well. With that being said, why don't we bring in my co-host and our guest as well for the night. Please welcome JJ, the Ugly Hat Johnson, and Crispy, the new Galactic Champion from GSP, Patrick. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Good. It's Sunday. Not excited to go back to work, but I mean, I guess when you're on call and you work this weekend anyway, it didn't really matter, so...
Yeah, absolutely. I feel your pain, man. We in my job, we had a COVID scare, and I'm still technically within that range of like quarantining myself, even though I tested negative. So, I'm not going to work tomorrow, or at least in the office. So I'm good.
You did that on purpose, just so that if I keep your ass up till 11:30 tonight, you don't have to worry about being late to work.
I can neither confirm nor deny that. Yes.
Right. I mean, it's a good play. It's a good play.
I would agree with you. I mean, I'll admit, I purposely do not have any day scheduled on Monday to go into the office ever. Like, it's never going to happen at this rate. So, you know, my boss had said, well, we can move our meetings from Tuesday to Monday. Nope. I'm good with them on Tuesday. I'm okay with that. With that being said, Crispy, welcome. Hope you all had a good weekend so far. No GSP Championship stuff to play in, right?
No, I just there is the Kyber Cup that is still going on. And I've advanced to the top 4, so I'm very happy about that, and looking forward to the semifinal match, which should be later this week.
Nice, congrats, man! Congrats on making it into the top 4, man.
Yeah, I think.
Thank you.
As I say, I think we watched your game. Was it last night? It was last night, right? Or was it Friday? I don't remember anymore.
Yeah, it was Friday for the top 8, and I think today for the top 8.
Yeah, my top 16 match was on Friday night, I believe. And then just like, 5 hours ago, I had my top 8 match.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hopefully you get to keep going. It sounds like you have a ridiculous list that needs to be banned. I don't know. Could be not. I'm just saying.
Does it have Trajectory Simulator? No.
Does it have Trajectory? Can you throw bombs?
It's better.
No, he can launch bombs.
It's better because boost before the 5 straight. I can boost before the 5 straight. It's Trajectory Simulator, but it's a 7 straight, basically.
Oh my god. Either way, congrats on that, and hopefully you'll be helping them make a decision on just straight up banning some of these other things to begin with. We won't have that problem, right? Anyway. Anyway, so
Crispy's going to get them to ban proximity mines, I swear.
No, don't do that. Don't get my proximity mines banned. No. What am I going to run on Django? I'm going to have to drop down the proton bombs.
Or,
thank you.
The arcade droid, it's fine.
The arcade droid. Anyway. So it sounds like you've been playing a lot of X-Wing, Crispy. A lot. Are you planning on going to Gen Con this year?
I am not going to Gen Con this year. As a college kid, I kind of put all of my expenses together for one big trip, and that was at the con. I currently am on the fence on whether I'm going to go to Nova or not. I've got a group from the Orlando store that is kind of looking to go together as a team, and if I can, hitch along with them and save up enough for that, then I'm good for that. But for now, I am skipping Gen Con.
Awesome. Well, that's kind of too bad. I was hoping maybe we get to see you bring your list to the table. You never know. Maybe
I'd probably be sick of it by then.
You'll be sick of it by
honestly.
then.
I'm already looking at new lists to run. Like as soon as Kyber and XTC is over, I'm probably going to stop running this list. And then there's this Nickel City League that I also have to play for. That I'm probably going to run my first order list for that. But once all that's over, I'm retiring.
You're in the long haul for the first order, man. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about the XTC league real quick, because I believe all of us actually are signed up for it this year. So,
oh, you talking about Nickel City, or you talking about the X-Wing Team Championship?
Nickel City.
Yeah, Nickel City. Yeah. So, Crispy here is actually one of the team captains here for that league. So, any inside track on what you're looking for like for in terms of like factions where you may want to like try to pick?
I was I didn't realize that I was going to be captain. This was kind of thrown at me. So I'm captain of Team Havoc. As you can see, I'm already repping. And we are just going to go out, and the plan is just we're going to cause a lot of chaos. We're going to bring a lot of fun, a lot of energy, and hopefully we're going to catch people by surprise with some really fun and interesting lists. Otherwise, I'm just going around piquing interest from a couple people here and there. I've got a couple players on my mind that I'm ready to draft immediately. Otherwise, I'm just gonna, pick people at random out of a hat and then throw them into a faction whether they like it or not.
So,
Nice.
JJ, why don't you back up and explain what the Nickel City stuff is before we go too far?
So for the Nickel City League that Greg from NCX has set up here is a 6-week league that's going to have 14 captains every week. The captains will be paired against each other to assign teams or players to fight each other as a team event, and then whoever has the most overall wins between the two teams will get a single victory for that team to advance. And at the end of the 6 weeks, they'll have a finals single elimination championship there, and only one will come out victorious because there can only be one.
And is he structuring it roughly the same way that like XCC is structured? Or are they going to have?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. So they're going to limit the number of factions playing based on the number of teams and.
Yeah, and it is still open. Signups are still open right now. If you head over to the Discord channel for Nickel City, you can definitely still sign up. They still have spots open. So the draft is supposed to happen on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. So if you guys are interested in joining, definitely get in there and sign up.
Yeah, I think Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern is standard for when Greg starts the stream. So that's when we'll be drafting. If you want to join in, just fill out the forms and then make sure that you're in before then.
You're going to be happy to be drafted last. Well, I don't know. I bet you it'll be me. Nobody knows me, so you don't have to worry about that. I decided to pick it up since I'm not in XCC, so for me it works out as good practice for Gen Con coming up here.
Yep.
Nice.
Unless we all run an extended list, then I don't know. Then it won't be Gen Con already.
Oh yeah, we should probably say it is an extended league event, so yeah, run whatever you like.
But it is still 2.5, right? It's not.
Yeah, it is 2.5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Bring out.
It's not a legacy event.
Yeah, bring out your Nims, bring out your Punishers. This is the time. Honestly, it's like experiment, because I don't think we've seen anything with it, tournament wise, feature extended. So we're going to see a lot of unique ships and unique lists, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, they the only tournament I've seen that was an official tournament was 312 Squad ran one, and the majority of the lists were not extended. So especially when you have Vader and Vader Defender showing up, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it turns out that a lot of the standard ships are good. So
yeah.
But now you can run Vader Vendor soon tier.
Ooh, yeah. Like a new Hatchet Man for 2.5? Yeah, I'm down
Yep.
with that.
It's Hatchet Man, but you upgrade your Vader X1 to Vader Defender.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right. That sounds actually quite a bit of fun. I'd probably play around with that.
Yeah.
All right. There is also an event happening in Ohio. So I don't know if anybody this is an event, team event, and let me grab it from my Facebook. It's called the Outrider Team Event, and it's happening in Northstead, Ohio, sometime in November, December timeframe. They haven't set a date, but essentially it's similar. It's a one event versus a league play. So it'll be like 2 days of a team event. So essentially you could bring a team and everybody competes, and then that you get ranked based on your team overall score. So
how many players per team?
The team that I have put a bid in with is at 7 right now. So I don't know. Okay. They haven't officially capped it. I'm guessing they're going to leave it at 7.
One per faction.
Yeah, one per faction. And that's how they were going to do that. And then the idea is it brings more variety to the actual playing field versus what we normally see in a tournament. And we thought it was a neat idea. So some of the local guys and I we've been looking at it. And as long as they don't pick the one day I can't go, I'll be going. So maybe they'll pick it so they don't have to take me with them. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about Fly Better came up with a concept for what they're calling the Galactic. Man, that is a really good bourbon. What they're calling the Galactic Conquest. And what they're doing is Ryan's creating, and I'm for lack of a better word, I'm going to call this an Armada style scenario. Is you're getting a base level team. You're going to be fighting it out with another player, basically dogfight style, but it could include some of the different scenarios. I have not honestly looked at it yet. So when we look at the first week, we can dive into that. And essentially, it's just kind of a fun for free for all. You play a game or two with your friends, submit your scores, and you get to basically, if you win, you get to add certain things on. And Ryan's building a story out of the whole thing. The reason I find this fun and unique is because A, it's not a pay to play, and B, it is kind of just going to be in a relaxed environment. JJ and I, depending on how many XAC streams, will probably be streaming this specifically, because he showed interest and I showed interest, and then if anybody else wants to, but we'll probably do it just for the hell of it because it's a good narrative. So we can start the episode out, like the show out with the actual narrative from Ryan and kind of like read it story. Maybe we'll see if we can hire somebody that like has storybook voice, like somebody that's like a professional orator, and then they'll read the intro and then we'll just play the fucking game. And instead of having other people commentate on it, JJ and I will just commentate on it as we're playing. So you'll get to hear all of me, complaining about his stupid rebels, because I guarantee you he's not going to choose Empire. And he'll complain. I don't know if I can run Vader yet, but as soon as I get to run my Darth Vader Defender, he's going to be complaining about that.
As long as I get Wedge, I'm fine. No worries.
I don't know if you do. We're going to find out here in a minute. So essentially, this is a global narrative. They call it a global narrative, and they're going to have mission ramifications. They're going to have 4 missions, it looks like, throughout July. So the first one officially started, and they have new ones that will release on the 12th, the 19th, and the 26th. So I'm assuming those are Mondays, is my guess. And so essentially what happens is you're going to get a mission. right? And it's going to talk to you about what are the stakes, what are the rewards throughout your outline. You could play these, like I said, at any time, and the whole point is to create a thematic play experience like you would be if we played a video game in Star Wars. I'm assuming these can be played in person or on TTS.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Ryan has basically worked with everybody to create a unique list builder so that you are not able to have just anybody. It's all 100% YASB, and it's all 100% going to be set up. So if you look at our squads to begin with, it looks like you can take Bandit Squadron pilots. Is that a Z95?
Yeah.
Who takes that?
Yeah. Yep.
Who takes that?
I
Not
mean,
me.
people who have 3 points to spare on the list.
It's 5 points, isn't it?
A Z95? No.
Oh, there it is. It's 3 points. Okay, you're right. And it looks like he gave us a couple of bombers. We're getting an X-wing, and Jack Porkins is the ship of the week. On Empire's side, you have the ability to have Academy pilots, which you notice he raised the cost on them. Obsidian, Black Squadron, Iden, and you get is this a TIE Brute? There's a freaking TIE Brute in here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know which one I'm. You know what I'm flying. Now,
the really cool thing that they managed to do is that they actually worked with Rathos, the person who actually runs YASB 2.0, to have a separate builder, or at least a separate section where you can actually build out these particular squads with these loadout values to make it easier for people who are participating to make out those squads. So it should be live already. So you should be able to go to YASB.app and build out your list for either Republic or Empire for this particular event that they have going on. So,
all right. Do we want to cover the first scenario real quick? Is there anything else? Did I miss anything else?
No. Let's check that first scenario.
Okay. Man, their website's slow.
Yeah.
Maybe it's all the people logging in to check it out.
Yeah, right. Hey,
Welcome.
Catherine.
Well, one of these days it's going to load.
Yeah, we'll get to it. No worries. But while we're waiting for that to load, I was able to pick up the new expansion for Outer Rim. Cannot wait to try that expansion out for Outer Rim. Outer Rim is a fun game. I definitely enjoy it, especially with my board gaming group. So pretty happy to get to open that up and play it.
Yeah, the funny thing is, so I've never played that game before, and for my birthday or for Father's Day, I don't remember which, my son bought me the core set for that. For Outer Rim.
Game.
Yep.
Yes.
And then he ordered the expansion for me. So my local called me on Friday and said, "Hey, we're holding your copy. Come get it." And I was like, "I didn't order it." And they're like, "We're pretty sure you did." I was like, "Okay, all right. I guess I'll come, get it." And then I get down there. My son didn't even pay for the thing. He only bought the original. I have to pay for the expansion. He's like, "Oh, thanks, kid."
Happy Father's Day. Here's the bill.
So, all right. So it looks like the first mission is Battle for Tiberius. You're going to have one objective in the center, and they're going to call this planetary defense droids. Then you will place obstacles, which is different, before we place the next. And then it looks like 2 more objectives go in there, correct?
Interesting. So they play around with the order between obstacles and objectives.
Yeah. And also they are limiting your squad points to 15 for this scenario. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, make it go faster.
Yeah.
So the objective is to take control of the primary hyperspace lane outside of Tiberius 4. Gain mission points for enemy ships destroyed and planetary defense droids scrambled. So it's a version of Scramble the Transmission, it looks like. you will take control of a planetary defense. But the unique piece of this is this planetary defense, I'm assuming, is like a homing missile. That's my assumption, is that's what this is.
Interesting.
So starting on the second round, you get a mission point for each droid you own. When a ship is destroyed or removed from the game, the opposing player earns mission points equal, so no half points. At the end phase, before step 1, starting with player 1, each player performs the following attack measuring range from any defense droid they have with their player marker on it. And it does say homing missiles right on there.
Yep. So it's scramble. It looks like it's almost identical to Scramble the Transmissions, except for each satellite you capture, it performs an attack at the end of the turn.
So they're like stationary Mando super commandos, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty good, actually.
That's cool. I like that, actually. Yeah, come near it, JJ. That's what I say. Come near it so I can blow you up. It is only a homing missile, so the question is it going to have charges?
No,
probably not.
It says attack, so that will continue firing until the game is over.
Man, you know where I'm going to be putting. Can you? Okay, it doesn't say. Can you shoot the other planetary defense droid to take action? It does. Nope, you can't. So you could just keep shooting them.
Yeah.
But you know where I'm going to be putting mine.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, right? Because at this point, the higher initiative makes it a big deal because you definitely want to try to get in there and be the last person to grab that objective, just so you can save yourself a shot. But at the same time, you're leaving yourself open if your opponent sets up a kill box there. So it's definitely enticing more objective play for the scenario. But at the same time, it also leads to more like dogfighting, right? So, yeah, pretty interesting scenario.
So if you win, you get a loadout. You get one loadout point for every ship. You get one unique loadout upgrade point, and you get one new ship chassis. I don't know what narrative boon is. I guess we probably should have read the whole other article.
Yeah, so as each week continues, they'll add more things. They'll release more like events for this as is ongoing. So as you play, they'll add more things as it comes up. So yeah.
All right.
So what this reminds me of a lot of is Heroes of the Atari Cluster.
Yes.
And also Flight Group Alpha, if you've played the counterpart as well.
Love it.
Except the change is, like it's now adjusted into 2.5, and it seems to be more centered around 2.5 play rather than where Heroes of the Atari Cluster and Flight Group Alpha were completely separate from standard gameplay. Like there were stations, there was escort missions. It was nothing like, standard 2.0 play. And the other big change is that even if you win, your side as a whole has to win. So it's about how many Rebel players overall won their game, how many Empire players overall won their game. So
yeah,
hopefully you have other skilled pilots out there on your side that can, tip the balance of the sector towards your side. Because, as a pilot, you're not just fighting by yourself in that sector. You're flying alongside everyone else who plays X-Wing and is on your side. So very interesting take on kind of the cooperative. I guess this is somewhat cooperative gameplay, but also, taking a side route from the standard game.
Yeah, and not to start any drama, and I want to preface this by saying that I'm not criticizing Fly Better at all. I just wonder how many of the scenarios that when GSP was asking for that during their podcast a few weeks ago, if they took any of those ideas and incorporated them in this particular event. I would actually enjoy to see a lot of those scenarios, because a lot of the ones that I've read that were submitted on there, they need a little bit more polish, but a lot of the ideas behind it would be something that would be interesting in a narrative event. So I just wonder if Fly Better actually took any of those scenarios in mind when they were creating this particular event.
Yeah, so it looks like here, if you fly the Empire, and this is what's going to happen, you're able to, they're going to be voting on who you can allow for your Unar sector to be transferred to what ship, and then they're going to be taking which ship would you like to come in to play in the future? So that's so there's Mauler, Latre D, which I would almost, oh my god, you can get Lieutenant Psy. There we go. Give me a Lieutenant Psy here.
I don't know, rerolls though versus coordinate. That's tough. That's kind of tough.
All right,
Well, I mean, it depends on what else you have in your sector. I mean,
Yeah,
looking
that's
at
true.
what you start off with, it's a bunch of TIE fighters.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then you have cannons on Iden and the brutes, but you don't actually have any torps. So Psy could be a great early game, or, early mission until you start collecting other chassis, and then you from there can have solid Jonas bomber swarm.
Yeah.
So for Rebel, it looks like there is a U-wing, an A-wing, and a B-wing, which hopefully will not have trajectory simulator. And then
I'm sure they'll follow the ban list and stuff. So yeah,
it looks like they're gonna their option of ion torpedoes, HLC, electro chafe missiles, or passive sensors. So this is kind of cool because I would like, man, can you imagine getting the ion torpedoes and being able to start putting those on some of those X-wings? It's gonna be good.
Yeah,
that will be good. All right, so with that being said, so those are kind of the upcoming things that we have. The other upcoming thing that we didn't mention is, as a reminder, if you live in Florida, we are at 20 people right now. If you live in Florida and you want to play in the first XTC, god damn it, the first Playing Phase Syndicate tournament, we are hosting it in Florida. And Dion from GSP is going to fly down and will be commentating and streaming the event live July 9th. If you have not gotten your tickets and you live in the Orlando area, please reach out to JJ and he can hook y'all up.
Absolutely.
So do we want to, I don't know. You know what we should do? This is what we're going to do. We're going to talk a little bit about your run in GSP and a little bit about your squad, Crispy. I think that's what we're going to do first, because I want to get into XCC, but I think in fairness, the reason wanted you to come on is A, because last time you were on it was a good time. And B, because you did just win the GSP thing and we couldn't book you for last week. So why don't you go ahead and start giving everybody kind of an overview of, your run, a little bit about your list, and let's talk about the creation of it. Because I think when Fly Better interviewed one of the guys about that scum list, like some of the weird things that guy was thinking about, I never would have thought of, and I was like, that's genius. That works really well. So why don't you talk a little bit about your list, and I'll bring it up here in just a second.
Yeah. So going into Solist, and this is also about the same time as Kyber. So when the latest points update happened, First Order got a whole bunch of things messed around with. I was normally flying, 2 bombers, Nightfall, Ember, and Gideon Hask in the She Shuttle with Pyre. So that way I could, hand out 2 stress and then run the bombers down into people's faces. With Pyre going and things getting shifted around, I needed to find a new list. So Grudge and Dread did not get changed at all. They still had all the points that they needed for Electrochaff, Skilled Bombardier, Proxy Mines. Grudge had a couple extra points. And from there, I just needed new filler. And the one problem that I had with my list that I brought to Adepticon was that I didn't have enough firepower when I needed it. So I was just looking, all right, I have 12 points remaining. What are the 3 biggest, 2 or 3 biggest, heaviest hitting First Order ships that I can find? And I came across Kylo and the Whisper, who went from 7 to 6, kept all of his loadout. And I created a very fun loadout with Kylo, where he basically flies behind the bombers and he uses the chaff missiles to his advantage by using shattering shot concussion missiles. So he's consistently rolling 3-4 hits on these opening engages after I stun people with the chaff. And then from there, I needed other heavy hitters that didn't necessarily require locks because if I landed people on the chaff, I wouldn't be able to lock them. So Kylo using instinctive aim on his shattering shock concussion missiles made sure that even if I blocked people onto the chaff, I would still be able to get a really good shot off and, having the chaff work for me instead of against me. Scorch got a couple extra points. So he got Fanatical, Predator, and Advanced Optics. And all those three just boost his offense. And that is one of the most consistent 3 dice attacks that I've ever seen on the table, especially when everything's firing. I think on the final table of Solus, Scorch rolled, hit 2 blanks, used Predator to roll a blank into an eyeball, spent his optics to turn the other blank into a hit, and then Fanatical the eyeball to a hit. So he basically turned a dead attack into a full string.
Wow.
Very, very strong there. And then to kind of help weed out other lists, I have Malorus, who got an extra point as well for marksmanship, and I kept cluster missiles on her as well to maximize her ability. So she can go ahead and, double tap people, and, she's still great as well. 3 points, very durable, can, evade and use her ability when she thinks she's getting focused fire, and then can simply turn that around and lock and use her ability to get double nods on the fly. And from there, it just became something much, much larger than I'd ever anticipated. And I went on a really, really hot streak with it.
So I'm going to ask just a quick question, 2 quick questions. I guess I get 2 questions because I'm the host. The first one is, can you believe that Malorus was given an extra point from last points update? And then the serious question though that I have is honestly is, do you find that Malorus starts to kind of waffle off once you get your clusters off? And because I'm assuming the way you're using the clusters, the 90% of the time is you when you flip your charge, take your stress and shoot them because you get it on offense and defense. And if you're already in at range 1 or 2 anyway, it makes sense because you're going to be getting shot at. Do you find that she pitters out after that and kind of like becomes cannon fodder, or do you have other uses for her once she's burned?
So I've always thought that Malorus with cluster missiles was way too powerful for 3 points. And then she got that extra point, so I went ahead and threw marksmanship on. And that has severely, changed the games because even once her ability runs out, even when her cluster missiles run out, she's still an I5. She's got lock, she's got roll. She can, go around and with scramble, she can go ahead and take objectives later after my opponent has moved. And when I need to have her initiative snipe, she can do it. She's got the firepower to be able to, put that out. The real strength of the list comes with the chaff missiles and how everyone seems to underrate them or think that they're able to get out of their way. And then generally once people, see the chaff, they focus on the bombers. They say, all right, I got to get these bombers out of here. And then Malorus strolls up and she punches as hard as she can.
Okay, and that makes sense. And I just asked because Scorch has kind of been the new favorite that I've seen, and actually people are running pattern analyzer on Scorch, which I thought is an interesting choice, whereas you're using the advanced optics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, the question I have for you is, when you originally looked at FO as your faction to start looking at making your list for this particular event, did you choose it specifically because you saw an increase in the rebel meta for the alpha strikes, or to deal with Vader with the TIE swarm?
So I have always been looking at the chaff as probably the number 1 meta deterrent. So going into Solus, because we had seen the UK Games Expo as well, so we knew kind of a good feel about what people had, been flying and what people found were strong. And there were a lot of people, I'm not going to name any, particular names, but there were a lot of people saying the meta is not figured out. We have no idea what people are going to fly. You just have to, test for yourself what's good. And even when we've had so much time, we figured out, all right, people are going to bring Rebels, people are going to bring TIE Swarms, people are going to bring Vader Defender. And Chaff hits all three of those perfectly. Because for Alpha Strikes, being able to jump from beyond a ship's firing arc and put Chaff directly in front of them, breaking their locks, giving them a jam token, potentially stressing them, is a huge deterrent because they can no longer approach you from the front. And having two of them, I can basically designate, all right, Grudge, you're going to be pointing at Wedge the whole time, Dread, you're going to be pointing at Luke the whole time, and you're not going to let them get any shots off. You're not going to let them get any torps. When it comes to Vader Defender, kind of the same thing, where I just kind of, point one of the bombers in the general direction of Vader, and when he gets too close, I just boost, fly straight launch, put it directly in front of him. Jam, potential stress, basically, neuters Vader, because, you see that juke that a lot of people have been running on him, and getting that jam token out there early completely removes that evade. And if you get the stress, he's no longer able to focus on top of that or boost your barrel for a better shot.
Yeah.
And
also removes that 4K option too. So
exactly. Being able to, stress someone before they go into their move is quite strong. The new change to the obstacles where you can no longer, double dip on them, where if you land on them, you kind of ignore them through the first maneuver. So I've been kind of needing to watch that as well, because if I land the chaff directly on top of them and they get stressed and they have a blue maneuver dialed in, they do the maneuver, they ignore the cloud, and they get rid of their stress. So it basically entirely removes my chance of stress. So what I have to do now is I have to look for, I have to place it directly in front of them because I can't risk them getting stressed and then doing a blue maneuver. Beforehand, I could land it on them, get the stress, they do a blue maneuver, I can roll for stress again.
That makes sense.
But with that change, I now have to be a bit more cautious about where I'm throwing it. And I mean, generally, it's the bombers are still quite fast and quite maneuverable, where they've got the boost into launching it, so I don't need to worry about, it not going exactly where I need it to be, because the net on those chaff missiles is a lot larger than you think. And plus their speed to, after they launch it, immediately run up because they're the lower initiatives. Grudge being 2, Dread being 3. We're seeing a lot of, I4s, especially with the TIE Swarms and all of these, Colby, all these other pilots that are, seem to rise up at I4. So I can not only throw the chaff, I can then run up directly behind it and block people onto the chaff. So that way there's no chance of them, getting past. And then from there, I have boost into proxy mines. So very, very strong against people who have no idea what's coming.
Yeah. Wow. And I think that's neat. And I kind of wonder if the skilled bombardier is going to get, I don't know. And this is the discussion we kind of had a little bit before with versus banning things versus creating a restricted list. Mm-hmm. And in this case, I can actually see electro-safe missiles and skilled bombardier should probably not be together. That is not the intent of the creators. I can almost guarantee that's not the intent of the creators. It's cool. Don't get me wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's not the intent of the creators there for that. So I will wonder. I do wonder, and this is where I proposed before. Like we should be. I would rather see a restricted list than all these bans, right? Like auto blasters. Do we really have to get rid of it? Yeah, like there's some cases where it is overly strong. Like Mando shouldn't be able to 5K and get behind you and keep doing it, but then they fix contraband, so you can't even do that. So, I don't know. I don't know. I think that the unique piece here, right, is that skilled bombardier and electro-safe missiles have not been seen in force, and I think that's kind of a cool little combo. But I won't lie and say that I would like to see that restricted without banning my skill bomb in here.
Yeah, I completely think that this list is going to get hammered at the next update. I wouldn't be surprised if AMG takes, kind of like an FFG approach where every tool in the kit gets hit. Um, I'm expecting the bomber to be eroded to a red boost in the system phase. I'm expecting certain slots to get taken away. I'm expecting chaff missiles to maybe have their effect reduced, where it's, you roll an attack die on a hit or crit, you get a jam, on an eyeball, you get a stress. So it's not one or it's not, potentially both, it's one or the other. Because this combo is incredibly annoying to deal with, and unless you have passive mods for days, your opening engagement is going to be completely useless. Meanwhile, in the background, Kylo, Malaris, and Scorch are all rolling double modded.
Yeah. What do you think if AMG decides to restrict ordnance overall, right? Like make every ordnance restricted to one per list, so it forces diversity in what you bring in for loadouts. Like you can't spam everybody with proton torpedoes. Like somebody will have to bring plasmas, another will have to bring ion torps or homing, and same thing with bombs. Like you can't spam proxies. One will have to bring clusters. One will have to bring proxies or counter nets, and that way we can see a little more diversity in those loadouts without
So you're
having
saying
to
pipping them. You want to pip them.
yeah, and the purpose of it is that um you don't have to, in this instance, if you happen to do that, you don't have to do individual changes to each one of those pilots. You can still retain the same loadout values, the same like upgrade slots for each of those chassis, each one of those pilots. But now you just have to consider other ordnance because everything is unique.
Yeah, I could see something along the lines of you are limited to two of a certain slot. Like you can only equip two torpedoes in your list. You can only equip two missiles in your list. So that way people can still run Luke and Wedge. Like that's a strong combo. They do their thing, that's fine. You can maybe tool back some of the other stuff in the list. But now you can't run a Dutch with proton torpedoes because you've used up all your torpedoes. So he might have to run like cluster missiles or concussion missiles or a slightly weaker munition now that you don't have all of these torpedo spams.
Okay.
And I mean, same thing with bombs as well. We don't need to be putting 2, 3, 4 copies of proxy mines or any, we remember the cluster mines when Grudge first released. People would fly five faux bombers with cluster mines, and they would just immediately
blanket everything.
Table.
Yeah. Same thing with the bombardment drones on Separatists. With the you can have 6 of them in the list, and just have them all drop cluster mines or proxies off of rocks. Yeah.
Yeah. Really, really fun.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Right.
And just one last note, I prepared this list to beat, the meta lists that, we had kind of as a community said these are strong. And I faced, I believe, 4 of them. 4 that would fall under the style of the list that I mentioned, whether it be, Rebel Alpha, TIE Swarm, or Vader Defender. So half my games were under the meta that I completely built around, and those games I just walked them quickly. So there is some incentive to understand what everyone else is doing, in addition to building a good list for yourself, because you need to know what you're going up against, and you do need to kind of know what the meta is. You can't just walk into a tournament saying, I haven't looked on List Fortress, I have no idea what anyone else is flying, I haven't seen any other tournament results, I'm just good with my list. If you want to perform at a higher level, and you want to like make cut and you want to go deep into the cut, you kind of need to be aware of what everyone else is doing at the time.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right. Well, why don't we jump into XTC?
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, XTC essentially is kind of like the Olympics of X-Wing per se. They are going with the new 2.5 standard, but they're going to do a little bit of a restriction this year compared to last year. Essentially, they're dropping down to 5 players and 2 alts that will be able to sub in when needed, and essentially they're looking at they're looking at ensuring that we don't have as many games that have to get in as last year. So last year there was 7 games every round that had to be in, and God, I don't remember how many rounds there were, but I think we did this for like 3 months. I streamed this stuff for 3
Yeah,
months.
it was 6 weeks, and there was 26 teams last year. So yeah,
it was massive.
Yeah, it was a lot of games. There was a whole lot of games.
I will tell you, if you want to take this crispy back to them, this document is awful to like search in.
Yeah,
I do not have good.
I did set up our stream doc for the matchups for us this week, if you want to use that.
Perfect.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Better. Yeah, it is a bit hard to move around, and the sheets that they made is also not that much better, because I'm trying to scroll down the list and then it immediately scrolls to the next team. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm only operating off of like Control F and what I want to find.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so why don't we talk a little bit about, there's all these different teams. Crispy, you are playing on Team Austria. I'll be honest, I do not know what a coach is compared to the captain. So why don't you explain it a little bit for those of us who have not played in XCC before?
Yeah. So I'm gonna be completely honest. This was not discussed. I only found out on the roster that I was considered a coach when Funwalk was doing his stream, kind of going over the overview of what lists are we seeing in the tournament. I didn't even pick it up on my first going through the document. So the difference between captain and coach seems to be the captain kind of organizes with the other captains, where they're going out and they're organizing games. They're making sure that their team is set and ready to play. So like kind of like on my ultimate frisbee team for college, when I was captain this past year, I would talk to the opposing team. I'd make sure that the field was set, that our players are set. We'd have a set time for our game, and then I'd go back to my team and I'd relay that. Now the coach's job is to make all his players better. So as my job as a coach of Team Austria is I'm going to be going over their games. If any games get streamed, I want to talk to them. I want to make sure, hey, here's some decisions that that you made. We can see how they affected the game and how we can make sure that we don't make those mistakes or make better decisions in our next games. Practicing openings, going over certain objective strategies. Like for example, I went over solid obstacle strategy for most of our objectives. So we kind of have that mindset going in where it's like, okay, we know how to operate the first couple turns, and we all kind of are on that same page of, all right, this is what we need to do in our first couple turns to set us up for success in the later runs. So, I mean, as the tournament progresses, I'm sure I will have a lot more to do talking with players and making sure that we are the best players that we can be.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's like I said, I guess like everything has a reason. I just never quite knew specifically what that was. So why don't we go through the first list? Want to do that?
Yeah, cool. Sounds good.
So here's Empire. And so it looks like, I'll take Empire, I guess, to begin with, and then we can kind of just jump around from there. So it looks like your team is running Morna Key with Jared Gerard, Callus, Agile Gunner, Proxies, Delayed Fuses, and Dauntless. Vader with Malice, Juke, Jamming Beam, and Cluster Missiles. 2 ISB Jingoists with Deadman Switch, and that will round out that list. So essentially, it is a 4-ship Empire list?
Yeah, it's very much in your face. We wanted to make sure that most of our lists had the ability to take on, alpha strikes or any high level firepower. So we have Vorna here, who is a great example of this, where she can on the first turn reinforce her rear, and then use her ability to flip it towards the front for her next turn. She can barrel in with Jerdrod and whatever else she needs. Then she takes that second reinforce, and now she has 2 reinforces in the front. She really doesn't care. Even if she gets, a paratorps that's just her shield's gone, and then she has, a passive mod with Agent Callus while that's going on, and she can still be a threat with Agile Gunner, even while she's stressed, being able to simply just keep turning around, keep shooting. And then, proxy mines, just because, those are really good. And at I4, you can sometimes surprise people, get those mines off. And from there, it's just you have Vader, who we know is good. He's a great end game piece. And he can, hunt down and kill ships quickly. Because when points are the name of the game, you can't leave any outstanding ships on one hull left on the edge of the board. Vader's going to go down and kill them. And of course, the Jingoists with Dead Man are just there to disrupt as much as they can while Morna and Vader do their thing.
Awesome.
Do we? I should probably pull up the lists for who we're playing against.
Pull up the stream doc, Chris, so that way you can actually see. I have them side by side, so you can actually see them on there.
All right, hold on. Should have told me before we stream.
Sorry. So just to kind of start off for that particular matchup, for that particular list there. So this first week that we're paired off against Team Philippines, and we actually did our pairings earlier this morning, and got all the matchups set up there. Now for our Empire list, it's going to be facing off against their Republic list of being flown by Ronald Dakuman. And he is running a Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Delta 7 with elusive calibrated laser targeting and shield upgrade. He also has Click in the V-Wing with dedicated R3 astromech, the Besh title, and proton bombs. We have Mace Windu with heightened perception, R4P17, and CLT. And then Stub in the Z95, which is a nice little filler ship there. And then to round off the list, Hound in the LAT with Barrage Rockets, Night Owl Commandos, and 7th Fleet Gunner, which is really interesting. Yesterday, I actually got my first chance to play with the Commandos and like kind of get a feel for it. I definitely like the addition of the Commandos. It just looks like you only deploy one at a time, but they're nice just two die guns to just go out and just take pot shots at whenever possible. And if you put them in the right place, they can give out strain. So it's pretty nice.
Who has the Commandos?
Hound on the lap.
Okay, so either you have the dock set up wrong because you're playing. It's a Resistance you're playing.
Yeah, you got to go down a little bit because you start off with the Empire list.
That's their Empire, not our Empire.
Yeah. So go down page 3, I believe. It should say Ronald Dakuman on the top of it. Just scroll down a little bit more. Next page. Keep on going.
No, it's right there.
There you go. Ronald Dakuman. There you go. There you go. That's it.
So it's a little bit interesting that they're using the Night Commandos and 7th Fleet Gunner over Ayla and Barrage Rockets. That's still a little bit different because you could just dump Barrage Rockets and do Ayla and 7th Fleet Gunner or Ayla and the Night Commandos, but it's an interesting. take.
Yeah, I think this particular loadout makes it slightly more more of an aggressive lat in the way that you approach, because with this particular setup, you're going to obviously start with you can start your turret arc on the sides, and then just make sure you take focus actions as your action with the lat, so that way you always have the option of shooting the barrage rockets out the front. And you do have to play a little bit conservatively, because you don't want to get into range 1 in the front, where you won't have a shot. So you either get the 2-die guns out the side, or the barrage rockets out the front, and then you also have the Night Owl commandos they could dump out during the system phase, and then move them to get into a better position where you can possibly get in the way of an enemy ship to either cause a strain or get a pot shot off at a ship that avoids it. So it's a little bit different, but yeah.
See, this is where I disagree with you. I think that they're going to have their turret forward and back to begin with Hound, because Hound's the fire convergence works on non-turret attacks, which is barrage rockets. So having that focus and having your turret forward and back, your barrage rockets are double modded naturally. So that makes Hound a ship that you cannot ignore going in. Plus, the 7th Fleet Gunner being able to, point your turret at the target and say, all right, we are going to burn this target down. You hand out an extra die, then you give out your own 3-die attack with focus and 2 apparel rerolls. And then with the Night Owl commandos, I just checked, the fire convergence does not work with the commandos because it requires a ship.
Yeah.
But if Hound is running in there and then just dropping the commandos out the back, that's an extra attack that you cannot ignore. So this can potentially be a 7-attack list if everything is firing on all cylinders, which, no matter how many reinforces you have on a decimator, will chew through it. So Alex here is going to have to take ships off the board, and there's nothing that can really challenge Vader at I6 here. Obi-Wan can, dance around a little bit. Mace has heightened, but I don't think that's really going to matter that much when it comes to Vader. Otherwise, the Jingoist Deadmans are just going to run in there, and the Fragile Aces and the, because Obi-Wan and Stub are both 5 health, Click and Mace are both 4, so getting Deadmans off on those will make them really susceptible to Vader taking them off the board. And then from there, Morna can just come in and be a bully.
So if I were to talk a strategy, I agree with the Jingoists being the aces that fly in just to take, to kill them. And I say that because if you get them in close enough, they have to kill those aces, even with Deadman Switch. Otherwise, they're handing out strain. And can you imagine a mace with a strain? Yeah, I know you got 3 forests, but you only got 2 dice now. Merry Christmas.
Yep.
Yeah, especially with Warner Key doing the cleanup shot behind the Jingoists. Yep.
Yeah, because Jingoists are I4s too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So even if they have to take them off before I4, they have to. So it's not Hound that's going to be taking Hound. Hound is just kind of their backup. Like it's gonna be Mace and Obi that I'm assuming they're gonna come in and pincer. And if you get those Jingoists, close enough to one of them, that's a dead Jedi, no questions asked this round. Between the Dead Man Switch and Morna Key coming in behind, Vader, I see just floating around on his own, kind of going after whoever is left, whoever goes by themselves. So
the juking cluster missile is also going to be a huge thing. Being able to take multiple targets and then either strip them of their force or strip them of their token. So when it comes to Click and Stub, they're going to have to basically spend their focus token immediately to prevent damage from Vader. And then on Mace and Obi, that is going to burn force incredibly fast.
Yeah.
And then with Morna, you just roll up in there with, because Morna really doesn't care for her, safety if she's double reinforced. So she just throws herself in there and goes to work. And I think once Morna gets to Hound, there's nothing Hound can do to outlast her.
Yeah, and then with the hunted condition from Callus, once you kill a ship that has it, you just pass it on to the next target, and you just kite around, and that's your passive mod. That's everything that you need there.
Yep. Yeah. I'm confident about this matchup. There's still a couple things that can go wrong. We haven't seen the scenario, I believe. I'm not sure if that was announced yet.
It's salvage mission.
It is salvage. Okay.
Yeah.
So
you guys will be taking 0 crates.
if the Jingoists have a
Jingoists.
spare turn, they can pick one up.
So 0 crates.
Yeah, I think that Jingoists are prime carriers for it, because they're typically not going to be worrying about repositioning with the barrel roll all too much, and they're trying to get into the face of the enemy to take shots as much as they can. And since you can still K-turn with them, they can keep time on target that way and not have to worry much about it. So
yeah, your only issue is if they burn them down fast.
But that's the point, right? Is that if you get them into range 1 and they're holding a cargo crate, you're incentivizing that dead man switch to go off.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
So yeah. So.
All right, let's go. Let's look at the Philippines Empire list versus the Austria Resistance list.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So for the Philippines, we have Ralph Borgia with Darth Vader in the X1. He's running Brilliant Invasion, Elusive Pattern Analyzer, Fire Control System, and Afterburners. Next, we have Rexor Brath in the TIE Defender with Juke, Fire Control System, and HLC. Then we have 2 Jingoists with Dead Man Switch, and then Wampa with Elusive to round off that list.
And the Resistance side?
We have Stefan running Ray with Heroic, Rose Tico, Novus Technician, Finn, Engine Upgrade, and the Ray's Millennium Falcon title. We have Elo Atzi with Elusive, Heroic, Ferrosphere Paint, R68, and Integrated S-Foils. Neen Num with Heroic, Pattern Analyzer, R3. And then BB8 in the Pod with Ferrosphere Paint and Automated Targeting Priority. Which is a pretty solid list there. We got 3 I5s there, 2 of them, the T65s, which can knife fight all day, and then Ray, who just hits like a drug. Really great.
So can I ask a list building question? And I'm assuming you guys are building lists as a team, correct?
That's correct.
Crispy?
Yeah.
Okay. So somebody really likes Heroic a lot in this. I would not be putting Heroic. I would not be putting Heroic on Ray. I would have actually, because you can upgrade that Novice Technician.
I disagree. And here's the thing. On defense, right? You're thinking offensive. On defense, you roll a single green dice. If you blank out, you add a blank with Finn, and now you meet the requirements for Heroic, and you get to re-roll it at that point. And then you can spend Ray's Force to add it to mod that. So it works out more defensively for Ray in that point. And then if you just happen to have a really bad roll with Ray, which is very unlikely, sure, you have that free reroll, but it's mainly as a defensive tech for Ray, just to guarantee to have those 2 dice for more often than not.
You can roll 1 blank, add the blank, reroll into 2 of 8, best feeling in the world. And it will happen. It will happen. And it will save Ray so bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I like Chewbacca personally better on there, but that's just me. Because I don't think you could include Han Solo, can you?
No, it's too expensive. Now, what R68? I forget what does that droid do?
That's the bullseye droid. So you get 1 reroll on attack for every friendly bullseye on the target.
Yeah, that one's amazing. Like just especially with Ray, like. That droid should never not be included.
Yeah.
So,
Agreed.
Are you in a maintenance closet, Crispy? Greg's asking if you're in a maintenance closet.
No, it's because I've still got a whole bunch of stuff from the Mexican college on my desk, so I'm on a card table in the middle of my room, and my light is directly above me, so I have absolutely terrible lighting right now.
All right, fair enough. All right, next set of lists we have. It looks like Jesus JJ. We have First Order versus Scum. So on the First Order side, we have for the Philippines, Kylo with Malice, Instinctive Aim, Predator, Concussion, Advanced optics, Nightfall with marksmanship prockets and sensor scramblers, and enhanced the enhanced jamming suite. Grudge with the elusive ATP, electro chafe, skilled bombardier, and proxies. Malorus with the standard Malorus loadout. Static with Proud Tradition, elusive, and HLC. So it looks like they are running a similar list to yours, except for they obviously changed out one of those bombers for Nightfall to go after a bigger jam. I would almost wager that those Electro Chafe missiles are worth that other bomber over Nightfall.
The proxy mines will do a lot more damage than the prockets.
Yeah.
And that, because I flew Nightfall alongside the two bombers at Adepticon, and the two bombers would outpace Nightfall on damage consistently, and that was just because of proxy mines.
Yeah,
So,
I like Nightfalls in theory because you can have that one turn where you go through a couple of ships, jam both of them, turn your turret to the back, and well, now he can't because he can't shoot rockets out his back, so it doesn't matter. But I guess you could 5K. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a fan of prockets on Nightfall personally myself. I would have done concussion missiles and something else, but I don't know.
Yeah, because at Initiative 4, without a reposition into focus, it's just really tough to get those prockets off consistently.
Yeah, or put Whirlwind in there if you're going to do that. At least like if that's the case, at least put Whirlwind in there so you get focuses upon focuses.
Another change is static over Scorch, and at this point you see static going in on the HLC over any other cannon. I know a lot of people like the ion cannon there on static for a bit of control, because now not only are you jamming, but you're also ionizing. But as you can see, the Philippines went for more damage on the HLC. I'm not sure if it's reliable.
I don't think it is.
It's on a TIE fighter. It's I-4, so it is possible. But I don't see that static putting out as much damage as a loaded up Scorch would with all the modifiers in the world.
Yeah. Hey, I have HLC on my Cad Bane and Separatist, but I also have Ion Cannon, and I also get once you kill a ship to reposition. So like in reality, it's a little different there. But yeah, I think I don't like static with HLC at all. I just don't. I think it's. I like getting that elusive though. I do like I like the elusive. You use the elusive. You do the turnaround maneuver and shoot your HLC because you surprise somebody. I like that piece, but I would not choose it over Scorch any day of the week at all. I like Scorch a lot better. So
yeah. Plus, taking Ion Cannon guarantees you a 3-die gun and a 4 when you get to range 1. So it at least makes sure that you're hitting. You do have to choose to lose either elusive or proud. I prefer losing elusive over proud, because being able to, do those loops, have your focus, and then just continue doing light maneuvers if you need to. Because you do the 2 sloop, get your focus, and then if the opponent is running away from you, you just simply 5 straight and you still get your focus.
Yeah. I like the Ion better. You want to know the funny thing is? And this is the funny thing. Now that everybody's running Proud Tradition, I make it a habit when I shoot at an FO list to immediately stop everything I'm doing to see if they have Proud Tradition. I don't care if I get one more damage. I literally just want to fuck them over. Like it's like it's just, maybe it's just a Chris thing, but I didn't do that to Corey when I played him last week, and I regretted it in the first game. So in a couple of pickup games I've had this during the week, that was like, oh, you're running FO? All right, you have Proud Tradition? I always just stop everything. Do you have Proud Tradition? Oh, yep, okay. I'm going to spend it. I don't care. Screw you.
Yeah.
And I think I think now, people are going to have to start doing that if Evo just keeps pushing, Proud Tradition. Now, in reality, to some extent, with it being on only one of the ships out of all of them, whatever. I don't, you're not going to remember it, is my guess.
And it's a 3-point ship on top of that too, right? If you take it out, I mean, it's not a big deal. Yeah, exactly. Now on the on Team Austria side, we have Andreas Tolman running Scum. He has Boba Fett with Jamming Beam, Proxy Mines, Contraband, the Marauder title, Maul, and Veteran Tail Gunner. Cad Bane with Ion Cannon, the Xanadu Blood title, Ahsoka Tano crew, and Seismic Charges. Lighten Ashera with Composure and Ion Cannon, and Gamut Key with Projector of Gleb and Deadband Switch on it. I actually got a chance to play against this list earlier today, and Gamut Key really, really good early on to just help keep those extra mods in there, either for Boba or for Cad, to come in and get their shots off, especially if they're expecting to get extra damage or extra ships engaging one of those ships, and it does a really good job of just supporting those ships there, and it's also pretty good carrier for objectives, particularly for salvage, since it doesn't really need to like boost or anything like that, and it's mainly concentrating on coordinating. So on an off turn where it's not really key, it's a really good ship to just grab an objective. Late in Ashera with Ion Cannon, just giving that control. If they shoot at her, she gets a free evade, and then if they try to shoot at her again, she has that evade token to help stay alive. So yeah, good.
Yeah. Once again, we're trying to make sure that every element, or at least most of our team, has elements to counter this Alpha Strike. So Gamut Key is kind of doing a similar thing as Morna, and that's keeping reinforced tokens stacked on our big ship. So we can have, Boba, reinforce, and then like focus as well. So thanks to Gamut, we send both green tokens over, and then we save the focus and the reinforce, and then we can fling Boba in, and he can reinforce again if he needs it. Otherwise, he's probably just going to focus or boost to get to range 1. And, if Boba isn't being threatened, it can go the other way. We can shuttle a focus evade over to Cad Bane. Andreas knows this list very well, and I've seen him fly it a lot. He's quite skilled with it, and I'm really confident that he's going to pull out a win this week. I think he's got a good matchup here, and I'm really excited to see that list in action.
All right. So the next one we won't have to spend too much time on. So Crispy, it's your list. We are not going to go over your list again because it looks the same as the list we already went over 30 minutes ago. Yep. You'll be flying against Rebel Alpha Strike. I don't even want to go through this one either because it's almost identical to the ones that was running in the European and in GSP. It's Wedge, Luke, Kenobi, and Fenrau. The only real big difference is Fenrau has a child versus K2SO or something else.
I played 2 opponents in Solus with basically this exact list. I think it's just messing around, like a couple upgrades on Wedge and Luke. But it was Colby Notorious, R4 Contraband, Fenrau with a child and R4, Wedge and Luke with their things. Like some had Marksmanship Predator, some had Trick on Wedge, and then a lot of the Lukes had like R3 and Trick and Shattering over Burners. So I'm quite familiar with what my opponent can do, and I'm quite familiar with what I can do to him.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, if they bunch their ships close together, you win. No questions asked. It'll be an easy win. If they move them far enough apart, all you have to do is go in on 1 or 2 of them, and I don't know. Like this list is not. You have the upper hand with your list in this one, like
and
hands down.
And with salvage, I have 2 ships that can easily carry crates. Malrus and Scorch, they don't need their boost. They can't boost. They really don't need their bro all that often. They're perfectly fine carrying crates. Well, my opponent, he can really only carry with Fenrau, and Fenrau really wants to be coordinating every turn. So if he spends an action to, go pick up that crate early on, the rest of his ships aren't going to have that efficiency that they normally do, and that's when I'm going to be able to pounce.
All right. Next is their Republic versus. Oh, we already went over this.
Yeah,
we're not going to do this again. Yeah. All right. So the last one is their Scum versus. Hey, you guys don't even have Separatists in here. Their Scum versus our Rebel list.
So we have Eli Batong running the Scum list. He has Manaru with Notorious, Garth Saxon Gunner, Contraband Cybernetics, the Punisher 1 title, and R5P8. Kanan Jarrus with Maul. Lee Mackay with Tier 5 Belly Run, Dorsal Turrets, and Proton Torpedoes. And then the Mando with Predator, Fearless, The Child, L337, Contraband Cybernetics, and the Razor Crest title to finish off that list. Now, Garth Saxon is the for that particular one. That's the one that you can only take target locks in your front arc, right?
Front and rear arcs, yes.
Front and rear, and then you can spend a red token from your attacker to roll an additional die.
Yes.
Okay.
Or is it to re-roll?
No,
that's Notorious.
It's added.
Yeah. So Notorious, if they're strained, you get to re-roll. But if they shoot at Manaru first, he gets to Notorious them, which would give him a red token, which he can then spend to Garth Saxon to remove that strain to roll an additional red die, and then he'll do the shot there. Now, is it better to have them roll one less evade or to roll one more attack die?
I think the plan here going in, Eli's plan is going to have multiple locks on the same target. So generally, Kanan is going to be sitting in the back and protecting as much as he can with Maul. Lima is out there basically, locking. But if Kanan has the opportunity, because he's got, passive force to protect him, plus Maul, if he takes damage, he can re-up his force. I wouldn't be surprised if Kanan tries to slip a lock at range 3, so that way Manaru can spend Kanan's lock to add that die, then hit with the strain still attached.
That's good, yeah. Or even Lima's target lock with her ability. Yeah, you're right.
Yep. If Lima leaves her lock around, because she's got torps, so she's most likely spending the lock on the torpedoes, unless there's a really good result out there. But I'm just assuming that there's going to be a lot of token passing and making sure that ships hit as hard as they can. I just want to read the card again. Remove one orange or red token, so you can also, if they have any. I don't think this list has any way of passing orange tokens.
Yeah, no, not that I can see. No. Mm-mm.
I mean, Mando's got false transponder codes hidden in the crest, so that's one way to hand out an orange token.
Yeah. All right, and then over on the on Team Austria, we have Sebastian running the Rebellion with a wedge. Predator, Elusive, Protons, R4, Luke with Shattering Shot, Trick Shot, Protons, Fenrir with Swarm Tactics, Tristan Wren and R4, and then Dutch with Plasmas, R4 and R3. Tristan Wren providing that extra reroll for those torps, and basically acts like a fire control system for all those ships, and then swarming Dutch up to an I-6 to get that extra plasma torpedo shot to remove the shields first off, and then getting the proton torpedoes from the other two in to hopefully finish them off.
I'm going to correct you there. I don't believe that Tristan is a reroll. It is a...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's a hit to crit on a torpedo attack.
That's right. Yeah.
So
it's like it's like that droid that does that.
Yeah, it's like R7A7. So the whole plan is, it's Rebel good stuff, except now instead of Colby, you have Dutch who can, pass out locks as well. So kind of assisting Fenrir in that support area. But then with Fenrir and Storm Tactics, you can bump Dutch up to I-6, fire the plasma torpedoes first, stripping the shields, and then from there, Wedge and Luke can fire their torps with additional crits provided by Tristan Wren.
Right.
Yeah. And it's funny. The only sad thing is Wedge can't take the R3 astromech as well, because I love a good Wedge, Luke, and Dutch with R3s. Like that's just like the best thing. Like you get a lock and you get a lock. Oh, you get a second lock and you get a second lock. So it doesn't matter who you bring in, somebody's dying. Period.
Yep.
No questions asked.
See,
Yeah.
now on this particular list, I was arguing, and like I was arguing this to the end. I think Chopper is a better place than the R4 on Wedge.
I would
And
agree with
that's
that too.
because like the only thing that the R4 gets you are the 2 hard blues, which are very nice, but a lot of times that's not necessary because you can easily fix that with a closing your wings into a 1 bank and a boost, which still has a good shot. And if he has any locks provided by Fen Rao, closing your wings isn't a problem. However, what Chopper does give you is if Wedge gets ignored, he can turn his 2 shields into a 3rd torpedo.
Yep.
And then if he's still ignored, he can turn his elusive back into a shield.
Yep.
It's amazing. It is some great Rebel stuff. I am really sad that we did not put that in the finish list.
Yeah, because I would rather 100% have Chopper. I don't know. Though I like the R3 though. I still think R3 is good, but you could put Chopper in there. I can see the value of Chopper to be able to do that. The probability that they're going to leave Wedge alone is probably pretty slim. Usually unless Wedge is really good, like, and gets away with things. So I guess it depends on who's flying it, right?
Yeah,
well, I mean just
it's range control. Yeah, it's about making sure you have that range control with Wedge, and I think a little less with Luke, because Wedge wants to take those shots at range 3 with those torpedoes, so that way if he does get shot back, he still has that extra die for on defense. Whereas you want to offer up either Luke, probably Luke, since he's a lot more defensive, as the more preferred shot, or at least tempt your opponent to try to take the shot against Luke, since he does a little bit better on defense. But Wedge is your hammer in this list by far. Yeah.
All right. Well, those are the lists. So is there any other ecstasy lists from any of the other groups that kind of stand out that you guys want to cover?
I was going through. I mean, a lot of the lists are just stealing from person to person. If I found this funny. So Team USA, which I did not get an invite to. Will Hagwood is flying First Order, and he took my list card for card. So I just think that's funny.
Yeah.
So if they think Will can fly better, then good for them.
Well, you were already on the team, man. See, that's how that works.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that they had their team together long before Austria had their team together.
Yeah, so we can go through. I mean, I don't know. So their Empire list is Vader and Rexler Wrath. Cool. Jingle, one Jingle with the cloaking device and one with contraband. I still like Deadman better personally. That's just me though.
I looked at that and I couldn't quite understand like why you would put a cloaking device on a jingoist.
I've used it before, buddy. It's fun.
But okay, but the ability for the jingoist, isn't it? I have to. I don't fully like recall the ability right off the bat, but you do have to actually attack, right? Or can you do it without attacking?
No, it requires you engaging, which you can do while cloaked.
Okay.
So if it also gives you that extra jump, so if you need to, you can decloak 2 straight into a 5 straight and just say, all right, you want a jingoist in your face, you're going to have a jingoist in your face, and you just launch yourself as fast as you can, get a block, get that strain off, maybe disrupt something in the back, like a ship that needed to, be in the front lines, now got stopped, and now the rest of your list can come in. I mean, Steve Cotillo is an amazing pilot. He knows how to fly this list very well, and this is not a list to think that it's an easy match, because he will absolutely wipe you.
Yeah, I like the Dead Man better, but the cloaking device I've used many a time before. So, and then they have their Boba has Fen Rao on him and Han Solo versus the Force Point, which is an interesting choice. And they have Burnout Thrusters, which, by the way, I definitely found that interesting. I I've never used them before, but somebody at my local played against me with burnout thrusters.
Mm-hmm.
They got them off. They're fun, you know. They're fun, but I don't know. Like on Boba, I don't know if I'd want them. Their Lee Makai is similar. Gamma Key similar. They do have Sarisu in here with protons.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's their other aggressive, alpha ship there.
My preferred boba is with burnout, and being able to combo that with Fen Rao and Han. Like the way that interaction works is you engage with Han and you take the red focus, and then Fen Rao says after you engage and there's a ship at range 1, you remove a red token. So it's instead of a force, it's rewarding you if you have a ship in front of you at range 1. Instead of a force for the turn, you get a focus for the turn.
That's true. That's a good. That makes sense, right? Because then you can take your focus, or I'm sorry, you can take your target lock or something else. Yeah.
Is it 0 to 1 or a 1?
I believe it is 1.
Okay, so it wouldn't work with a bump focus.
No,
that's correct. Okay. However, if you bump someone, in the early engagement where you're just flying at each other, you can absolutely slam into the first person, and as long as the person behind him is within range 1, you get the trigger.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
I adore Boba with burnout. He is a ton of fun, and the rest of you're looking at Lima and Sirisu, who can both throw 4 dice, and Gamut Key is going to give one of them double knots. Like those two can't be ignored for long as well. That is a scary, scary scum list.
Yep. And it looks like they are running a CIS list with DFS 81 with discords, two separatist drones with discords, Django with Palpatine, cluster mines, FTC, Slave One, and veteran tail gunner. And then 2 bombardment drones with seismics and clusters, because you can no longer fit the
I would be surprised to see seismic charges actually used from bombardment drone, but hey, I mean, if you need to kill somebody and you got it, yeah, why not?
I mean, because you could 2 straight off those rocks. You 2 straight off the rock, drop your seismics, 2 straight off. It's very predictable, but I don't know. I kind of agree with you. The counter nets we used to ran before were the best, but I don't know. Can you fit? You can't fit counter nets in there anymore, can you?
No.
Nope.
No.
Counters are 5.
And that's why. So that's why it's a switch up. The probability is the cluster mines, but you could have also just ran proxies too. So.
And then have 2 points with nothing though. So, but yeah, I agree. I kind of do prefer proxies because one, you get 2 of them instead of just 1, and then and you get the guaranteed damage off of both. Whereas cluster mines is hit or miss. I mean, yeah, you have the potential for that spike damage of a potential 6 hit cluster mine, but more often than not, you don't. So.
I see the reasoning for cluster mines, because cluster mines only takes 1 turn to get the whole payload out. If you're firing 1 cluster mine versus 1 proxy mine, the cluster mine is most likely to outpace the damage if you get it to go off. It's just saying, all right, do I think my bombardment drones are going to live for 2 turns of good proxy mine dropping? If you think they're only going to last 1, you just give them the cluster mine and tell, hey, you're going to do as much damage as you can right now, and then you're going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for Scotland, so I'm just going to pick random ones, and you guys can pick random ones. So your goal, JJ, is to figure out how to get Chris Bobby from Scotland on our stream, because he's running a Ezra Bridger gauntlet fighter, in his rebel list. And I will say, I have no idea if that's any good. At all, but I will tell you it looks like a lot of fun, and Yeah. So your goal is to get this person on our stream. So
I do like the loadout that he has on it, though. I still have a soft spot for Maul on Ezra Gauntlet.
yeah.
Just to have the extra force, and then just to get that stress on top of that if he gets attacked to update his ability. So
Yeah, I understand the logic though with the with Leia, right? Because
yeah,
there's
absolutely.
at least 2 ships that can do red maneuvers, no questions asked, without having to do it. And I will
And
say, Kraken with snapshot, like okay,
really
like
good. That's
Yeah.
good.
cool.
Yeah, the other thing I like here is taking a page out of the X1 invaders that I've seen with the Bree Gambit and putting it on Luke, giving him that evade token. Actually, could be really good. I actually like that particular combo.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know. Is there anybody else? And that one's not really. Oh look, hey Vader's in that list.
There's one list that kind of caught my eye. I've seen something similar to it before, but let's go to Evan Cameron of Canada. That CIS list is really, really fun and like something that I might have to take a look at. It's Django
Hold
in
on, I
the fire
can't get
spray,
it.
Boba fire spray, and Grievous.
So you said it was Evan and Team Canada, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go. Hey, what does this look like, JJ? Isn't this what we were talking about last night? Ironically
Yeah.
enough, I didn't
Yeah,
even go
we
through this
were.
document. We were actually having this exact same conversation about running Django and Boba together with either CAD or Grievous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And what did we talk about that we would have to drop out maneuver on Grievous because there's not enough ships to distract you from Grievous.
Exactly. Yeah. I like this particular loadout on Grievous in this particular list. Yeah.
I mean, this list is so incredibly anti-alpha. Like you've got Boba with chaff and codes, and you have Django with codes, and then you've got Palpatine to hand out stress. Like this is coming for your mods. This is coming for your tokens.
Yeah, I like this list too. I think this is really cool. So I'll have to try putting this on the table. I think it'll be fun. Everybody with these bloody electrochafe missiles nowadays. Ugh, I guess I better get in on it before they ban them. That's what's gonna happen. They're gonna ban these damn things. CTU.
I think they might ban them. If they can't get them under control, they're gonna hit the ban list. Like everything else, it's like, all right, we don't know how to points adjust it. Boom, it's gone. No more fun. No more.
Now, just because Nabi came into the chat now, I do want to see Team Australia. I want to see who's representing them this year.
Nabi, I saw your resistance list, and I have some choice words for you, man.
Like, is there no A-wings in it?
No, there's one A-wing. It's just
one.
Just one. It's just I have no like Poe Ray Zizi is the foundation for an amazing list. It really is. But everything else you did from there was like wrong.
We got to come back to their FO list too. Holy. Okay, we're gonna come back to the FO list too in a second.
Yeah, their faux list is also really, really weird.
All right, here's Nabi's ZZ Poe Ray list. All right, here we go. I hope the two of you get paired up. So Crispy, can I just ask if you guys do have to fight them, you have to go to your team captain and say, pair me with Nabi, and then you have to let me know, and we'll pick a day, and I will stream the fuck out of that or the hell out of that stream. Yes. And it'll just like I don't care if it's a good matchup or not. Inconsequential. You have to fight them.
Absolutely no, like completely. I agree to that right now. Right now, if we get paired against Australia, by any means, I'm taking Nabi.
All right, Hey, we better get the exclusive stream right here.
Yeah, man.
All yours.
So I will tell you though, I'm not a fan of the shield upgrade on ZZ. I don't like that, but I love Frost paint. Like I do really like that upgrade. Personally, I don't like the shield upgrade. Like there's so many things you can do different with that.
Nabi, where's the heroic?
Yes, like,
where's the heroic?
He doesn't think he's very heroic. He doesn't think he's very heroic.
Optics, I think, is probably the better call. But I mean, hey, he's got the secret sauce. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure he has.
This Ray better be some secret sauce, because a Ray without Finn.
Yeah,
like
Ray's gonna spend her force to shoot at I-7. That's what's gonna happen.
Holdo is the token top.
Yeah, Holdo lets you transfer tokens between ships, which is really interesting because I don't know exactly what kind of tokens you plan on passing.
So, if against an Alpha Strike, if they're targeting your Poe, you pull the target lot off of Poe onto yourself, and then you pass him something like a focus.
Okay, but you have to have. It's a token you don't have, and that ship gets a token that you have. So, if you simply have, like, if you're going up against a Rebel Alpha, Wedge and Luke both lock like Poe, and then you just have Colby lock Ray, and Ray can't take a lock because she already has a lock.
True.
Like yes, you're stripping your opponent from having focuses because you're forcing them to lock.
So what this sounds like is next week, Nabi, you need to figure out if you can get out of work for an hour and come on the stream and explain Australia's list to everybody. I mean, look, it's definitely. How about this? When we talk about meta and we talk about all these other things, seeing a more unique list, I'm all for. Sorry, I agree. I couldn't fly this list, and I'm very opposed to that shield upgrade. It's very offensive to me. I'm sorry. I feel very offended by that shield upgrade.
No, I do kind of agree with his rationale about trying to survive a proton torp. That shield upgrade does help to survive that possible proton torp, just to make sure that you don't accidentally get a crit and ends up becoming a direct hit that kills your ZZ like right off the bat. So having that extra buffer, I think it's worth the 8 points in that case. I personally would go a little more offensive and try to arc dodge, but it's just tough with it's particularly against rebels. So
yeah, let's see here. No, nothing else is super standout-ish there. Okay, can we go back to your FO list? You're running Agent Terex with Hondo, and then you have Rush and Lieutenant Revis. Why Lieutenant Revis at 3 points when there's other 3-point FO ships? Like of all things, like I mean, I like the crack shot on them, but like I just
Lieutenant LeHughes. That's why.
Is that why?
That's the whole reason.
Yeah, okay. LeHughes gets to spend other people's locks. So if somebody like gets a stress or anything anywhere near Revis gets that target lock onto them, and then LeHughes now has a double mod on somebody if he needs to.
All right, I guess all right. I guess I see that. And Lieutenant Hughes is pretty even for an SF. That's pretty. That's still. Yeah. I guess that's pretty cool. But I've never had my Lieutenant Hughes live very long. So
I can't imagine though getting off a trick shot procket like that's got to be like a wonder shot right there, man. A 6-die procket.
Yeah, I mean,
if we get that, hopefully somebody gets that on stream and we can clip that.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
I mean, Terex is a nice move when you have 3 of those ships that you can pass stuff out to. Like Contraband goes to LeHughes, False Transponder Codes goes to Malorus, and Deadman's goes to Revis. You shove Revis in there, he does his thing. When Malorus wants to shoot, she locks someone with concussion missiles, jams their defensive token off, does her ability, so she's got double mods against most likely a modless ship. Then LeHughes has Contraband for when he needs to, sloop around, get that bullseye going. And then there's just Rush at 5 when there are, I'd say, a lot of better options than Rush. Marksmanship, Fanatical Optics. Yeah, he's going to hit hard. He's going to be fast. But that's not a ship I think you can rely on.
Are there any other silencers at I5?
I don't think. Not for that price.
Because I know for the Whisper you have Wrath that you could flit on there, but I don't know if he's necessarily.
I like Hollow. Hollow at 5 is amazing
you're
value.
Right. Yeah, Hollow. Yeah, that's a good call. I didn't think of Hollow.
So here's an interesting CIS list. We have Seer with 3 bombardment drones and then 3 separatist drones. I like that.
Oh, okay. So they have TA 175. At first I was like, why did they put fuses? But no, TA 175. Yeah, that's good with those drones. I like that.
Yeah.
It's nice to see a Seer list.
It is, honestly. It's like, and this is from Brazil, right?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
And then here's one where they drop Django and throw 2 Holochrome prototypes and 2 separatist drones. That's nothing fancy. There you go. Here's Django, Grievous, bombardment drone, DFS, and a separatist drone. And everybody's going after those discard missiles, huh?
Yeah, I mean it's
over the energy shells.
It's still a it's still a body on the table, right? That you have to account for, right? Because if you get that Discord missile off and you put it onto a ship, that's still guaranteed damage that's going to go onto a ship if they ignore it. And if they decide to shoot against the 1 agility Discord missile, it's still a shot that's not going onto your ship. And if they kill it, they get no points for it. So they either have to focus down on wasting a shot against that 1 agility Discord missile and take it out, or suffer a crit and still try to take out a ship that you may or may not kill right away. So it's just making your opponent make choices. It's basically like a whole upgrade for vultures. That's essentially what it is.
Man, look at this. We got good old Watt, man. I love me some Watt. K2B4. Look at that.
Yeah,
look at that.
That's a good one.
I'm excited for this. I ran before the change. That's what I was running.
Yeah, with independent calculations too. That's going to be a good list.
Yeah, energy shells, Discord missiles. Ugh, I love this. I love that list. All right. Does anybody have any other lists they want to cover? Otherwise, I'm just going to go through CS list.
No, that's it.
No, that's good.
All right, cool. Well, thank you, Crispy, for joining us. I guess maybe we have to commit to. You're just going to have to start committing to joining the show for a little bit, I guess. So by the way, every Sunday at 8:30 to 11 o'clock, you are officially part of Planning Phase Syndicate for the next 6 weeks, I guess.
Thank you.
You could be the honorary member. So we will be.
I'll do my best.
So here's the deal. So unless somebody else, so you guys are the only ones that have volunteered. So if nobody else is going to come out, let's just cover Austria. I guess we're Team Austria this year. Yeah. So we're going to be Team Austria. Cool. So,
and for those who don't know, I am a sub player for Team Austria.
Yeah, but
so I may be getting stuff in games in. So yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually specifically ask you take the other sub so that way JJ has to stream. And hey, Nobby, if you want to come on and yell at Crispy next week or yell at JJ, just hit me up in DM on Discord. All right. So thank you all for joining us. I will we will be talking more XCC. We will be looking for some games. I'm hoping my in-person work schedule is limited to Tuesdays now, so I should be able to pick some of these 4 o'clock and 3 o'clock games up. I've already, weirdly enough, talked to my boss about working earlier hours to be able to get off work early. So if Team Austria has a after 3 p.m. Eastern time showing, let me know, because we could probably just say, hey, we can stream Team Austria. I will say we will stream anybody, but we can specifically pick up Team Austria. And I fixed my stupid display link. I bought a new one of those camlink things or whatever, and
Nice.
like new adapters. So hopefully I won't have the same issue I had last year. I don't know. Anybody else have anything they want to cover real quick before we sign off? Or oh shit, we have our Obi-Wan spoiler cast. Yeah, it's not Boba. No.
I keep on saying that. I don't know why.
Yeah, we know. I know why. But do either of you have anything else before we transition into our universe extended discussion to talk about Obi-Wan?
Nope, but thank you, Crispy, for joining us, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So thank you all. We'll be back next week, 9 p.m. Eastern time, and whatever that is, UTC time. So that's 001 UTC
1 a.m.
time. 001. Yeah, that's what I said, bro. Don't check me. Don't gaslight me here. We're gonna be we'll be streaming our podcast, and we'll probably dedicate a half hour to 45 minutes every week for XCC content. I will be interested to go through wins, losses, and hopefully it'll be a little bit more catered than it was last year. Either which way, thank you for joining us. If you would like, stick around, and in just under 3 minutes, we will be back to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi, episode 6, the finale. That was not an hour and a half, JJ. It was only 54 minutes. But we'll be back in 3 minutes to be having that discussion. Thank you all.